Howdy folks, welcome to the Daily Coin. My name is Rory and today is Wednesday, May the 17th, 2017, and I have the very distinct honor and great pleasure of welcoming back to the show the president and co-founder of Gab.ai, as well as the publisher of La Metropole Cafe, and of course I'm speaking of Mr. Bill Murphy. Bill, welcome back.
Great to be here, Roy. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm glad you're here because we have a lot of silver news to talk about, so let's just jump in.
Sounds good.
I mean, what do you make of this action this morning? I mean, Dave and I were talking on our Shadow of Truth yesterday, and it seems like the technicals are all set up for things to move higher. Is that what we're seeing? I mean, is the beatdown over?
Oh, yeah, I think so. I was jumping up and down about it Saturday that put out a special commentary. The silver situation is the most bullish thing I've seen in 45 years. And knock on wood, we've gone up 3 days in a row since then. And hopefully it's the beginning of something that people have rarely seen in history.
Well, we can only hope. I mean, I'm not looking for an historical move, but I'd just like to see the beating stop. I mean,
I know what you mean, but I honestly believe it, and I'm jumping up and down because I could be dead wrong. It's just an opinion, but I think you've got a historic move coming like we've never seen before, ever.
What do you make of Ted Butler's recent comments as far as J.P. Morgan and the movement that they have created and the situation that they find themselves in? Did you read that article? Do you have any opinion on how that could possibly play out?
Yeah, well, honestly, I don't always agree with Ted Butler very much. He does fine work, but we've disagreed totally on the U.S. government involvement in the market, and I couldn't agree more with what he's talking about. We look at it a little differently, but that move down from 1850, where we went down every single day for 3 weeks, without an uptick, it's one of the most unusual things I've ever seen. In my opinion, J.P. Morgan did it so they could get the spec shorts. What they didn't do the last time down, it's worked. Silver's rallied a buck. The specs have gone more short than they've been in a very, very long time. And I think Morgan was covering. And then the question is what happens from here on in the sense of if it's complicated, but if they've hit the wall physically in silver, we should suddenly start to move up much bigger moves than we're seeing right now. And if it takes 1850 first and 20, if it breaks 21, we ought to see a market move to the upside like rarely ever seen before. Because if we're right, they've hit the wall with the amount of silver they have. Now, getting back to Ted Butler, I mean, whether in Morgan and the other people, nobody knows if it's Morgan silver or it's not. They've been the big reason that silver's been destroyed for 6 years, specifically due to J.P. Morgan and the U.S. government. So it's all a question now whether they've reached the tipping point, hit the wall, as Ted Butler says, and he's correct in that. If in fact that's the case, and the gold cartel, the Morgan allies are trapped, how are they going to get out? The specs have gone more short than they've ever been right now, but as soon as silver goes up a little bit more, they'll flip and go long again. They do it every single time. So who's going to sell? Who will sell? If Ted Butler's correct, there isn't anybody to sell. Nobody.
Well, I mean, that's what it looks like right now.
Well, right now they're stopping it at 17. I mean, this is still $17 silver in the year 2017 is pathetic.
It's unreal.
It's all because of the gold cartel and what they've done, in my opinion.
Now, did you get a chance to look at the Silver Institute's report that just came out just about a week or so ago? I mean, as far as the mining production is down, the sales of the consumer-based silver products, those are way down, north of 15%. And do you see the mining production and the scrap intake in particular? Scrap was down. The scrap intake was down. I think back to 1992 or 1996 levels, something along those lines. I mean, in light of the mining production and scrap being down, why wouldn't the price go up?
Well, exactly. And that's part of what we're talking about in terms of hitting the wall with being able to suppress the price like this. What commodity is one third the price that we managed to achieve 37 years ago? Forget the reason. Doesn't matter. I mean, it's the cheapest commodity thing in the world, and that's why I think that, and that I know what they've done and how they've done it. I mean, it's outside of how, I don't know how they got all the physical supply mobilized, but I think they're running through that, and what you're just pointing out supports that.
I mean, why do you think that the cartel is so terrified of silver moving to the upside? I mean, it seems like that they're that the bullion banks and the government are more, they have more skin in the game as far as suppressing silver than they do gold. I mean, why is that?
Good point, and it's a good point, and the reason is it became their kryptonite because there's a lot of gold around all over the world, but the silver's, it's been used up and it's got so many uses, and they had to. Nobody cares about the price of silver, really. So if silver was at $70 tomorrow, so what? However, if the gold market exploded, it's a barometer of U.S. financial market health. That's why they rigged it all these years. As
Right.
Paul Volcker said, head of the Fed, gold up is bad, gold down is good, and it has to do with the dollar and interest rates and all this stuff. And it's a psychological market. It's always been that way. It's just the way life is. Financial markets are. But to keep gold under control, they had to get silver under control, or it'd be too big a disparity or dichotomy. So they've gone bonkers in the paper market, keeping the silver price suppressed, and it's fed on itself, and they've made a fortune the past 6 years. And now again, I think they're hitting the wall. One of the things that I continue to point out to my people is that the open interest in silver was about 133,000 all the way up in 2011. Morgan let it go, or was forced to let it go, and it's unbelievable as I look back on it. The open interest today is 215,000 contracts, and the price is a pitiful 17.
Wow.
So the dynamic here is potentially, that's why I say historic and remarkable, because and getting back to finish the question, they're petrified of losing control of the silver market, and that's why they've done what they've done. But if they've hit the wall now in terms of physical supply, and I've heard some talk about this from different sources, there's nothing they can do about it. And so they're going to have to let it go back up again and take out 50 and head towards 100.
Well, how are we going to get there?
Well, markets being what they are, you start off nice and slow, and then it starts to pick up steam, and all of a sudden the market will trade differently than it has for years. And of course, 1850 is the first up. That's where they turned it down before. And then 21 is the real key. It's very obvious. Once we get above there, it will let all the people in the cartel know that the game is up. So that's what we've been waiting for too long, unfortunately, but it's coming, and it will be historic if my thinking is correct. And in this regard, Ted Butler and I are on the same page.
Yeah, I find his work to be, at times it's a little challenging for me to accept some of the things that he's espousing, but I think that he is right on the mark with this latest article that he produced last week. I mean, I really, because it just makes sense as far as from a logical standpoint. I mean, he has, it's far be it from me to question Mr. Butler and his work. I mean, he has far more years in this sector than I do. I mean, he's forgotten more about it than I know, but it makes total sense as far as the way that he described it. And I want to ask you about what's going on in the East as far as the impact that this could potentially have on the markets overall. I mean, there's a lot of new gold markets that are opening up, and I have to believe that at some point, if not at the same time, these new markets open up, that silver will be part of these gold markets as well. I mean, do you see that happening, or is that just too speculative at this point?
Well, hopefully by then, as they really get going, gold and silver will have made their move, especially the silver market, as we're discussing. All these markets, of course, are huge for the precious metals, and we've been waiting for them to really make a difference in the prices of gold and silver. But nothing's mattered till this point except what the gold cartel can do. Nothing I've heard about in years has made one bit of difference. And that's how powerful this gold cartel is, which, as you know, is the bullion banks, the Fed, the Treasury, the BIS, and some other central banks. And what they've done the past 6 months in all these markets is just astounding. What the stock market has done, real estate, assets, and putting money in the system. And yet gold and silver have been smothered to disguise really what's going on. And it's very possible with all the flap over Trump and this FBI stuff and everything else that, we haven't had anything to jolt the markets in quite some time. And this may be it. But in my opinion, the upsurge in gold and silver is here. And when gold takes out, the 1293, 94 area, it'll be a great sign. And of course, as mentioned, this 1850 in silver gets us, kicks things off.
So 1850 is the first leg, and then, as we've discussed numerous times, 21 is really the key to getting to the big upswing in silver, because there's nothing blocking it up until about, what is it, the mid 30s?
Yeah, and that's what the Ted Butler stuff is all about. And these shorts are going to realize what's going on, and there'll be a panic in the markets, and that's exactly what I see coming. And Cliff High, and he's been talking about this for some time. It's one of the few things the guy talks about. He does an incredible job that hasn't occurred, but it's coming, and Cliff's going to be right again. And it'll trade like a market rarely ever seen before, because think about it, the specs are all long, and the so-called commercials are part of this gold cartel that have won 18 times in a row, fleecing speculators over the past 6 years. Who is going to sell? You'll get some producer hedging, legitimate stuff, but that's why the market, in my opinion, is going to go chaotic. And that's what the bad guys, the gold cartel, are going all out trying to prevent. But I think they've hit the tipping point. They won't be able to do it anymore.
We can only hope.
Yeah, well, at least at these price levels. I mean, remember, again, in 2011, as mentioned, the silver price went from 17 to 50, and it went up in a period of months. I think it'll go up twice as fast this time. It'd be more volatile.
Wow. I mean, because I think it was only about 10 months that it went from 17 to 49 and change.
Yeah, I mean, I from what I can recall, and maybe even less than that, but that doesn't matter. I think this time it'll be like nothing ever seen before in terms of the chaotic nature of the trading, especially if any shorts are scrambling to get supply to deliver to people who have asked for it. And I don't know, maybe that's just hopeful thinking, but it's what I actually see. And as I said on Saturday, I've never seen a more bullish scenario in 45 years, of trading experience. And that's the one thing that Ted Butler and I have in common. We both have a good deal of futures market experience, and back in our younger days. And I think it's going to be quite exciting. And enough is enough of this, what the gold cartel has been able to get away with all these past years.
But there still won't be any charges brought against anybody for market rigging or any malfeasance on the banking cartel's part at all.
Well, it's a sad state of affairs. There are at least of these lawsuits against the bullion banks, and of course they've got the commentary of these traders talking to each other in writing, and it's just disgusting. And quite frankly, it proves what God has been saying all these years. So the evidence is out there of the bullion banks colluding in the silver market. They're just not bringing in the U.S. government. And as my colleague Chris Powell discovered, really very brilliantly so, that through the Exchange Stabilization Fund, the U.S. government has the right to do whatever they want to do.
Yes.
Not against the law. What's not right is keeping this stuff secret and letting people privately take advantage of it, of an insider trading sort of thing. That is very much against the law. So yes, and the CFTC will do nothing as part of the government, and they found everybody guilty in every commodity market imaginable and market, oil, mortgages, LIBOR, interest, currencies, and fined what JP Morgan was fined $33 billion for rigging markets over a period of 3 or 4 years. And yet the one market which they don't find any evidence of wrongdoing in a 5-year investigation was silver. I mean, that is a farce. It's the most blatant manipulation of all.
Well, they didn't until Deutsche Bank spilled the beans, and that kind of let the cat out of the bag. But there's still, once again, no charges. Everybody's walking around free. Not a big deal. Nothing to see here. Move along.
That's right. What, if Deutsche Bank was supposed to be in such trouble, next thing you know, the stock market's flying again, and all the commotion in our camp about Deutsche Bank going under is gone by the wayside. And another scandal, as you just mentioned, just brushed aside. But one thing I might say is, God has been on this case for 18 years. It's been very frustrating because the press won't even allow us to be mentioned. And I don't think they ever will. Until the gold and silver markets blow up and there's chaos in the economic scene, and everybody's going to ask, how could this have happened? And then it's going to end up like Madoff, like Enron. It'll be a big scandal, and the press will be forced to explain what is happening to the public. And so that's what I expect.
Well, I hope that day comes a lot sooner than later. And when they come knocking on your door, Bill, you need to remind them that you guys shunned me years ago. You invited me on your show one time. You never invited me back because I told the truth, and you didn't want to hear the truth. So good luck. Good luck with getting that egg off your face.
Well, yeah, it reminds me of the Few Good Men, Jack Nicholson. You can't handle the truth.
Exactly. They don't want to know what the truth is. They only want to know what the script says that their masters give them.
That's right.
So, and I want to ask you one more question, Bill, about the economy as far as what's going on. I mean, the numbers are finally starting to reflect the fact that everything is falling apart. You mentioned the housing market a minute ago. We are starting to see stress and strain there. We're seeing, just total debt saturation across the board, bubble everything. And how is the consumer with the precious metals market, the retail market already falling off a cliff? Are they going to be able to take advantage of this situation that we're talking about? I mean, as far as everything moving to the upside and possibly moving in a very big hurry. I mean, are they going to be left behind because they're completely broke, or how's that going to play out?
Well, our good friend Bovar's Dave Krantz has been great on the real numbers of the U.S. economy, and they're a lot worse than being portrayed by the government, which is part of the scheme or scam, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I've never seen the sentiment towards gold and silver, partly because of Bitcoin going bananas and the stock market going nuts. I mentioned other assets soaring, as bad as it's been recently. I mean, it's the worst I've ever seen in 18 years. So if you're a contrarian, and today maybe you'll set things off with, the Dow week and gold's finally showing some signs of life. This is the perfect time to be getting involved in gold and silver, especially if my scenario is going to play out. But, human nature being what it is in the West, they don't respond that way. And part of it's because it's been a 5-6 year horror show on the downside. And while everybody else is smiling and high-fiving. But that can change very, very quickly. And as mentioned, if silver doesn't make a historic move this year, I'm just completely wrong. And so it's a great investment opportunity, in my opinion. I mean, gold is too, of course, but I think silver is the one that they're going to have a big problem with.
Well, I agree with that. I mean, silver is more of a speculative metal than gold, but I think that I think this where people have to be at this point. I mean, in order to protect themselves and to, well, really just to protect themselves, protect their wealth. I mean, I think that it's going to really come back to the table where it belongs as far as a monetary medal. I mean, that's what I see. Maybe I may be wrong, probably am wrong, but that's just how I see it. So,
Oh no, I'm with you, and can't happen soon enough for both of us.
uh, well, Bill, do you have any travels in your near future? I know you went down to the Acapulco meeting that Jeff Berwick puts together. Do you have anything else on your calendar?
Well, I was just honored. Just got back from Toronto at the a big party for Eric Sprott. People came from all over the world. It was a retirement party from Sprott, but not retiring. Eric's buying up everything in sight. He's probably never been. What a great guy and a class act. We had a great time there, and we felt privileged to be at his special night. And a couple of weeks, we're going up to Vancouver to a conference up there with my colleague Chris Powell and Ed Steer, and we're going to see a whole bunch of people that we haven't seen for a while, and it'd be great because we've made many friends, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Cool. Are you going to the New Orleans investment conference?
Yeah, I'll be there again with Chris, and we always have a great time there. And I remember first meeting Jim Blanchard way back when, and giving him Frank Veneroso's Gold Book 20 years ago. So it's always love to go to that conference.
Yeah, that's a good one. Lots and lots of good people like yourself and your colleague Chris Powell. That's I put a lot of faces with voices there a couple of years ago, and I'm going to try to get back this year. So hopefully that'll work out. But Bill, I'm not going to take up any more of your time, and I certainly appreciate all you've given us today, and can find all of Bill Murphy's great work over at La Metropole Cafe, and you can also find his work as the president and co-founder of GATA at GATA.org. Bill, is there anything you want to leave him with?
Oh no, just that it's good to be smiling for a change, and as Eric Sprott said at in front of everybody, said he can't wait to get together dinner at the GATA dinner when we're not griping.
Well, maybe we should do that this week. Well, Bill, I certainly appreciate it, and we will talk with you soon.
Okay, thank you, Roy. Really enjoyed it.